As the world grows more complex, so does agriculture. Few farmers these days simply sow their seeds and hope for the best. They'll seek out experts like an agronomist, one who studies the delicate interactions among plants, soils, and the environment. We begin with one young woman in Vermont who is doing just that for farmers and making a big difference.
You got velvet leaf here, and you got foxtail and crabgrass. One thing I like about my job is that it's never the same. Day-to-days are extremely different. Some days I'm teaching classes to farmers. Some days I'm doing farm visits.
32-year-old Heather Darby is making her mark in a primarily male-dominated part of agriculture. She's an agronomist for the University of Vermont Cooperative Extension. University Extension offices have experts like her who offer practical information and research to farmers, small business owners, and consumers in rural communities. As an agronomist, Heather comes up with ways to improve the soil, raise better crops, and control pests. She's wanted to do this ever since she interviewed an agronomist for a high school project.
From that day on, I decided that I was going to be an agronomist that worked with the land, the soil, the crops, and with farmers to help them grow the best crops possible to feed their animals or to sell.
On the day we visited with Heather, she was working with farmer Richard Longway. He milks nearly 400 cows on his 1,000-acre farm near Swanton, Vermont.
When was it planted? Like mid-June or end of June?
Heather and Dick are working on what is called a nutrient management program. It involves rotating crops, planting cover crops, and spreading the right amount of manure and fertilizer in the right location. These details help farmers produce the best crops while considering the environment as well. Longway says Heather isn't afraid to roll up her sleeves and get down and dirty.
It seems so in the past. It was kind of more wanted to consult with Heather. She's been on the farm. I mean, last year she was walking in mud out here with me up to her knees, I think, and just really checking our crops.
Today he was really showing me some of the benefits that he's seen from rotating his crops more often, and it's really a good feeling to me to know that they're making these changes from things that they've learned in my courses.
At a farm on the Canadian border, Heather's working with Roger Rainville to test a number of different crops to see if they'll grow here in Vermont. Things like soybeans. With some of the results they're getting, it just may happen.
More crop diversity gives a boost to Vermont's agricultural economy.
Well, it looks like you're going to have a good yield on these, and the beans are huge.
They look ready, too.
Yeah, they're getting pretty darn close.
Roger has had a lot of time to observe Heather's abilities. He's known her since she was a 5-year-old on her own family's dairy farm down the road.
I said, if somebody's going to be successful, she is, because I used to watch her work. And I mean, day in, day out, from early morning, I mean, she'd milk cows, do hay and crops, just nonstop.
Heather briefly left Vermont to get her doctorate at Oregon State University, but always expected to return to her home state. Roger couldn't be happier.
I mean, I've been involved with the advisory board for UVM Extension for a number of years, and when an opening came for an agronomist, I known that Heather's dream was always to be an agronomist in the state of Vermont, so we really pushed to get her over here.
One big reason, according to her boss, Douglas Lantain, dean of the UVM Extension, is her enthusiasm for the work.
You saw today, too, is the passion that she exudes about the work she does. And also, she seemed to have a deep respect for farmers.
I think that one of the reasons I like working with them most is because I feel we have a two-way relationship where I learn a great amount from them, and I hope that they learn something from me too.
Not only does that relationship come from the fact that Heather grew up on a farm, but also that she herself is now a farmer. She bought her parents' dairy operation 5 years ago.
Heather, what does this farm mean to you? I mean, I know it's where you grew up. Now you own it.
Yeah, it's like my own piece of paradise here, and it has a really deep, a lot of meaning to me.
She says she's waited a long time to be able to come back here and make it her own. She grazes cows for other farmers and is hoping to later build up a produce business. The income from her job as an agronomist helps her grow her own farm. It's just one more way Heather and the farmers she works with are extending a hand to each other.